My fiance said she wanted to explore other options before settling down with me. I just smiled. A week later, she came back from a date to find her key no longer worked, her belongings in storage, and a text that said, "You made your choice." So did I. I never imagined I'd be sharing this, but here I am. Sarah and I met during our junior year at the University of Texas at Austin. We were both business majors and often found ourselves in the same classes. Our first real conversation happened during a late-night study session at the Peri Castin Library. We started studying together regularly, and our friendship quickly turned into something more. By the end of the semester, we were officially a couple. After graduation, we both landed jobs in Dallas. Sarah secured a position at a marketing firm, while I joined a financial consulting company. We decided to move in together, finding a cozy apartment in the uptown area. Living together was an adjustment, but we made it work. We spent our weekends exploring the city, trying out new restaurants, and enjoying the vibrant nightlife. Life was good, and we were happy. After 5 years of dating, I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with Sarah. I planned a special day at Clyde Warren Park. We had a picnic on the lawn, and as the sun began to set, I got down on one knee and proposed. Sarah was surprised and overjoyed. She said yes, and we celebrated with champagne and laughter. We began planning our wedding, setting a date, and discussing venues. Everything seemed perfect. A few months into our engagement, I noticed Sarah becoming distant. She was often preoccupied and less enthusiastic about the wedding plans. One evening, after dinner, she asked if we could talk. We sat on the couch, and she took a deep breath before speaking. "Jake, I've been thinking a lot lately. We've been together since college, and I love you. But I've never had the chance to experience life on my own or date other people. I feel like I need to explore other options before we settle down." Her words hit me hard. I was stunned and didn't know what to say. After a moment, I asked, "So what are you saying? You want to break up?" "No," she replied quickly. "I don't want to lose you. I just think maybe we could take a break or have an open relationship for a while. I need to be sure that you're the one I want to spend the rest of my life with." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The woman I had planned to marry was now asking for the freedom to see other people. I told her I needed time to think and went for a walk to clear my head. The next morning, after a sleepless night, I told Sarah that I couldn't be in an open relationship. If she felt the need to see other people, then maybe we weren't meant to be together. She nodded, tears streaming down her face, and said she understood. We agreed to take some time apart. Sarah moved in with a friend, and I stayed in our apartment, surrounded by memories of our life together. The first few days were tough. I kept replaying our conversations, wondering where things had gone wrong. Friends and family reached out, offering support and advice. Some suggested I fight for her, while others believed I deserved someone who was sure about me. A week later, Sarah called me. She sounded cheerful, almost as if a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. "Hey, Jake. I just wanted to check in and see how you're doing." "I'm managing," I replied curtly. "I went on a date last night," she continued, oblivious to my tone. "It was interesting, but it made me realize how much I miss you." I clenched my jaw, trying to keep my emotions in check. "That's good to know," I said before making an excuse to end the call. That conversation was a turning point for me. I realized that while Sarah was out exploring her options, I was stuck in limbo, waiting for her to decide if I was good enough. I couldn't live like that. I contacted a moving company and had all of Sarah's belongings packed and put into a storage unit. I changed the locks on the apartment and left a note on the door with the storage unit's address and the key. That evening, I received a barrage of frantic calls and texts from Sarah. "Jake, why is my key not working? Where are my things? For wikipedia.org +3 es.wikipedia.org +3 Wikipedia +3 please, can we talk?" I responded with a single text. "You made your choice." So did I. It's been a few months since that day. Sarah and I haven't spoken since. I've heard through mutual friends that she's been trying to reach out, but I haven't felt the need to reconnect. I've been focusing on myself, rediscovering hobbies, and spending time with friends and family. Looking back, I realized that sometimes, the person you think you'll spend forever with isn't meant to be. And that's okay. Life has a way of steering you in the direction you're meant to go, even if it's not the path you envisioned. I thought it was over. I thought I'd shut the door on that chapter for good. But life doesn't care about what you think. It has its own plans. About 2 weeks after the "you made your choice" text, I started getting strange phone calls. First, they were unknown numbers, easy to ignore. Then I got one from a number I recognized, Sarah's mom. We'd always had a good relationship. She even called me her future son-in-law before things fell apart. When I saw her name flash on my phone, I almost didn't pick up. But I did. Her voice was shaky. "Jake. Honey, I'm so sorry to bother you, but I thought you should know something." She went quiet for a few seconds. I could hear her breathing hard like she was trying not to cry. Finally, she said, "Sarah's not okay." My stomach dropped. I asked what happened. She's been going out a lot. Drinking. Seeing some guys she barely knows. I don't want to judge, but she's spiraling. I didn't know how to respond. I felt cold all over. I wanted to say, that's her problem, but something in her mom's voice stopped me. "She talks about you, Jake," she added. "All the time. Says she messed up." I didn't know what to do with that information, so I just said thanks and hung up. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept picturing Sarah out at some bar, drunk, with some guy hanging off her. And I hated that it still hurt. I hated that I cared at all. I wanted to be done. But it didn't feel over. 2 days later, I got a knock on my door. It was Sarah. She looked nothing like the woman I remembered. Her hair was messy, her eyes red, like she hadn't slept. She was holding a takeout coffee and some stupid little box that looked like it was from a bakery. She smiled like none of this had ever happened. "Hey," she said, voice soft. I didn't say anything, just stared. She lifted the box. "Your favorite. Those cinnamon donuts from that place in Deep Ellum." I didn't invite her in. I just leaned against the door. "Can we talk?" she asked. "No," I said, but I didn't close the door. She stood there, nodding like she expected that. "I get it. I do. I screwed up. I thought I needed to see what else was out there, and now I know. There's nothing out there, Jake. Not for me. You were it." I didn't say a word. She swallowed hard. "I've been on dates. Tried to feel something. But I just feel empty. And every time, I keep thinking, he wouldn't have forgotten to pick up my almond milk. He wouldn't have laughed when I cried at dumb movies. He wouldn't have made me feel like I was just another girl." I felt the heat rising in my chest. Anger, pain, resentment, all mixed together. "You wanted to explore," I said. "So explore. Don't come running back now that it's not fun anymore." She wiped a tear from her cheek. "I didn't think it would feel like this." "Yeah, well, actions have consequences." Then she did something I didn't expect. She stepped forward and reached into her pocket. She pulled out a photo. It was the one we took on our 3rd anniversary in Austin, by that little graffiti park. We looked so damn happy in it. "I keep this with me every day," she said. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I just needed you to know." Then she turned and walked away. I shut the door and locked it. But the story didn't end there. A few days later, I ran into a mutual friend, David, at a bar. He didn't know everything, just the basics. But what he said next made my blood run cold. "You know that guy Sarah's been seeing? Mark? He's not who he says he is." I frowned. "What do you mean?" "He's not just some random guy. He's her ex. From high school. The one who cheated on her and wrecked her for years. The one she said was a total manipulator." My stomach turned. "She didn't tell me that." David nodded. "Yeah, she didn't tell anyone until last week. She swore she wouldn't fall back into it. But dude, she's in deep. And the guy's been showing up at her work, causing scenes. I didn't know what to do with that info. I felt twisted up inside. Part of me wanted to call her, make sure she was safe. Part of me thought, not my problem anymore. But the more I tried to ignore it, the more it sat on my chest like a weight. That night, I got another call. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Later, I checked it. It was Sarah. She sounded scared. "Jake, I need help. I think I made a mistake. I don't feel safe. He's not who I thought. Please." Then silence. I replayed it 3 times. I stared at my phone, heart pounding. Everything in me screamed to leave it alone. To walk away. To let her face what she chose. But then I grabbed my keys. I drove for almost 20 minutes, heart racing the entire time. I didn't even know where I was going exactly. She didn't leave an address. But I figured she might be at her old place, the one she moved into with her friend Jenna. They used to rent a duplex in Oak Cliff, not far from Bishop Arts. As I pulled up, I saw her car out front. The porch light was off, but one window upstairs had a light on. I parked a little down the street and walked up. The front door was cracked open. That's when I knew something was wrong. I pushed it gently. "Sarah." I called out, stepping into the dark living room. No answer. My eyes adjusted to the dim light. Her purse was on the floor by the couch, tipped over. Keys still inside. A shoe a few feet away, like it had been kicked off. My stomach turned to stone. I moved through the house slowly, calling her name again. Still no answer. Then I heard it. A muffled sob. It was coming from upstairs. I took the steps 2 at a time and found her locked in the bathroom, sitting on the floor with her back to the tub. She was shaking, knees pulled to her chest. "Jake," she whispered, like she didn't believe it was really me. He lost it." "What happened?" I asked, crouching down next to her. "He showed up drunk. I told him it was over. He grabbed me, threw my phone, screamed at me, said I didn't get to walk away from him twice. I ran in here and locked the door. I checked her arms. No bruises, but she was trembling hard. I handed her my phone. "Call Jenna. Call the cops. You can't stay here." She nodded and made the call. Cops came 15 minutes later. Mark was already gone. They took her statement, told her they'd look for him. She didn't want to press full charges, just wanted a restraining order. But here's where the twist really hit. While she was filing the report, one of the cops recognized her name, pulled the other officer aside. They spoke in hushed voices, glancing our way more than once. Finally, the cop came back. "Miss, you may want to come with us down to the station. There's something you need to see." Sarah looked confused. "Why? What's going on?" He lowered his voice. "We believe Mark has been using multiple aliases. He's involved in a few open cases, fraud, stalking, possibly more." That was the moment everything shifted. What we thought was just some toxic ex suddenly became something bigger. They asked if she'd ever given him access to her phone, her laptop, her credit card. She hesitated, then admitted, "I think I let him use my laptop once." That was all it took. They took it in as evidence. The next few days were chaos. Turns out Mark had been running small-time cons across state lines. Nothing big enough to make headlines, but enough to flag him in multiple counties. He used women, mostly exes or flings, to get access to money, bank accounts, and in some cases, identities. Sarah's name had shown up on some account tied to a shady shell company based out of Houston. She was now part of an open investigation. And suddenly, I was in the middle of something way bigger than an ex coming back with regrets. I got a call from a detective 2 days later asking if I'd spoken to Sarah recently. They had reason to believe Mark was trying to flee Texas. She was now officially listed as a potential witness. They told me to be careful. He might try to contact people close to her. The kicker? I checked my voicemail again that night, and there was a new message. Unknown number. A low voice I didn't recognize at first. She doesn't belong to you. She never did. Then the line went dead. I sat there in the dark, phone still in my hand, heart pounding. This wasn't just about love anymore. This was something else. Something darker. And I had no idea how deep it was going to go. The cops kept in touch with Sarah over the next week. She was shaken but trying to hold it together. I checked in, drove her to a couple meetings, and helped her find a new temporary place. She kept saying she didn't want to pull me into it anymore, but the truth was, I was already in. And deep down, I didn't want to walk away. Not yet. Then came the final call. They caught Mark. He'd been trying to leave Texas through Amarillo, using a fake ID. When they arrested him, they found Sarah's old laptop in his car. A few burner phones. A folder with printed bank statements, some with her name. Some with other women's. All linked. The cops asked Sarah to come to the precinct. She asked me to go with her. At the station, they let her know that she wasn't facing charges, but she'd likely be needed in court. She looked exhausted, like she'd aged 10 years in a week. When we walked outside, she didn't say anything for a long time. Then, out of nowhere, she turned to me and said, "You shouldn't be here." I just looked at her. "I don't deserve it," she whispered. "You're doing all this for someone who threw you away." That's when everything boiled up. The silence I'd held back. The feelings I kept swallowing. "You didn't just throw me away, Sarah. You made me feel like I wasn't enough. Like I was some placeholder until you found someone more exciting. And then when it all crashed, you came back, expecting what? That I'd fix it." Her face twisted. "That's not what I wanted." "Yes, it is," I snapped. "You wanted me to be the backup plan. The safe bet after your exploring blew up in your face. I never meant to hurt you. But you did." She went quiet. "I'm not proud of what I did," she said after a minute. "I thought I needed freedom. I thought I was missing out. But the truth is, I was scared. Scared to commit. Scared to stop wondering. And then I let someone dangerous in. I made mistake after mistake." There it was. The confession. Honest. Raw. But it didn't feel like a relief. It just hurt more. That weekend, Jenna, her old roommate, threw a small gathering. Just a few friends. They wanted to support Sarah, help her feel like herself again. I went. I shouldn't have. It was at Jenna's place. We were all sitting on the patio when someone brought up Mark, joking that Sarah could write a book now. "Yeah," someone said. "That psycho probably has a chapter named after Jake." Everyone laughed. Except Sarah. She stood up, wine glass shaking in her hand. "You think it's funny," she said, voice rising, "that I almost lost everything? That Jake had to pick up the pieces I shattered? That I used him like a security blanket while chasing the guy who ended up stalking me?" The patio went dead quiet. Then she turned to me in front of everyone. "I loved you, Jake. I still do. And I messed it all up. I betrayed the best thing in my life." She was crying now. Not the quiet kind. The full, gut-wrenching kind. I couldn't say anything. My throat was tight. "I don't expect you to forgive me. But I needed you to know." Then she dropped the glass on the table, walked inside, and didn't come back out. The next day, I sat on my apartment floor, staring at the old photo she'd given me. We were happy once. Stupid happy. We had inside jokes, future plans, dreams that we built together. Then she got scared. Then she let someone else in. And everything fell apart. We talked again 2 weeks later. One final conversation. No drama. No yelling. Just her and me in a park in East Dallas. She wore that gray hoodie I used to steal. I had my hands stuffed in my pockets, unsure of everything. "I want to rebuild things," she said softly. "Even if it takes years. I want to try." I looked at her. And I said, "I don't think we can go back." She nodded. Eyes full of tears. I figured. "But I want you to be okay." "I will be," she said. "I just wish I'd seen what I had before I broke it." We hugged. Long and hard. And then we walked away in opposite directions. She tried to find herself and lost me in the process. I loved her. Maybe I always will. But love isn't always enough when trust is shattered. Sometimes, the lesson isn't about who you end up with. It's about knowing your worth. It's about standing firm when everything you thought you needed walks away and learning you'll still survive. I'm not sure what comes next, but I know I'll be okay. And that has to be enough.